Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. And today's lesson we're going to talk about Jean Piaget's theory of cognitive development. And before we dive in, we first have to thank the Lord, the Almighty Lord, for the fact that He has brought us. And we believe all will be well, and I pray that all of us may understand as we get in. So in this video, we will explore Jean Piaget's theory of cognitive development and how children learn and think as they grow. Okay, so who was Jean Piaget? Jean Piaget, he was a Swiss psychologist who studied how children develop thinking skills. And he believed that children learn by interacting with their environment. He focused on the cognitive development. And what is cognitive? Cognitive is the process by which children develop their thinking, their reasoning, memory, problem solving, and understanding of the world. It focuses on how the brain processes, stores, and uses information. Let us go on. On the key principles, Jean Piaget explained learning using key ideas like the schema, the assimilation, accommodation, and the equilibration. And we are going to talk about these principles so that we may all have a very clear understanding on them. Let us now begin with the first one. Assimilation is it's when a child takes in new information to fit it into what they already know. They interpret new experiences using their existing schemas. Essentially, it's learning by adding new information to old knowledge without changing its existing structure. Like, let's say assimilation happen. When does it happen? It happens when a child sees something new and understands it using what they already know. It's like putting a new puzzle piece into a puzzle that already exists. For example, a child knows the schema of a dog, and the child knows that a dog has four legs, it's fury, and it barks. Then the child sees a new dog breed. For example, the child sees a German Shepherd and calls it a dog. There is assimilation. The child hasn't changed anything, but now the child has added into the schema the child already has, and he has called this new breed a dog. That is what assimilation is. Or for example, a child knows how to scoop food with a spoon. They try the same motion with a small shovel while they are playing. There is assimilation. Accommodation. Accommodation is when a child changes their existing schema or creates a new one to fit the new information that doesn't match what they already know. It's essentially adjusting what you know to understand something new. In simple terms, accommodation happens when a child learns something that doesn't fit with what they already know. So they change their thinking. It's like changing the shape of a puzzle piece to make it fit. For example, in the example that we gave, the child knows that dogs are small, fluffy animals, they bark, right? Then the child sees a large dog breed, let's say now the German Shepherd, and realize it's still a dog. So that is accommodation. They adjust their idea of a dog to include the big dogs also. And another example we can also give, like birds. The child thinks that all birds can fly. Then the child sees a penguin, the child sees an ostrich, and they create a new schema. Some birds don't fly. So from the previous schema, the child knew that all birds fly. But now, in the new accommodation now, the child now understands that not all birds can fly. So the child creates a new schema that some birds don't fly. And learning in maths, let's say a child knows that 2 plus 2 is equals to 4, but then later learns that 2 plus 3 is equals to 5. Now they have to adjust their understanding of addition. Now the adjustment of the understanding of addition, now there is accommodation. Let us go to the other one, the equilibration. Equilibration is the process of balancing assimilation and accommodation to create a stable understanding. It helps children move from what they know to more advanced thinking. Essentially, it's how learning progresses when thinking is challenged by new information. In simple terms, equilibration is like a mental balancing act when children face something new, they either fit it into what they already know, assimilation, or adjust their thinking, accommodation. Equilibration is the process that helps them reach a new and stable understanding. For example, a child calls a German Shepherd a big dog. The new information doesn't fit the schema, right? But now the child adjusts the schema to include the big dogs. That's when equilibration occurs. Yeah. Or a child in conversation conservation example, a child thinks taller glasses has more water. Then when you do the an experiment with the other short glass, the child sees that the quantity is the same. So now the child updates his or her understanding, and now the equilibrium is reached. In math example, now let's say the child learns that 2 plus 2 equals to 4. Then the child sees that 2 plus 3 equals to 5. The child will update their understanding of addition, and that is equilibration. Now let's go to the stages of development. John Piaget believed that children go through 4 stages of cognitive development as they grow. And what are these stages of development? The first stage of development is the sensory motor stage. Then we have the pre-operational stage, the concrete operational stage, and the formal operational stage. Let us begin with the sensory motor stage, 0 to 2 years old. The sensory motor. In the sensory motor stage, children learn through their senses and actions. They begin with simple reflexes and gradually develop memory. They develop movement and understanding that objects exist even when they cannot see. So, as you can see here, development, it occurs through movement and experiences using the 5 senses. What are these 5 senses? This is the touch, sight, hearing, taste, and smell. Then babies learn by exploring their environment. And the simple reflexes that develop this are the sucking, the grasping, Then development of our working memory begins, and the child develops the object permanence, understanding that objects still exist even when they are not seen. Gradual development of the motor skills, that is when the child begins to sit, the child begins to crawl, and the child begins to walk later. So in the object permanence, at this stage you can hide something. When the child is still young, you can hide something from the child, and the child will believe that that object is no longer there. But now, as they grow gradually, they will come to realize the object permanence, that the object still exists even when it is not seen. Let us go to the second stage. And the second stage, this is the pre-operational stage, and it begins from 2 to 7 years old. And in the pre-operational stage, children begin to use language and imagination. They engage in pretend play but still think in a self-centered way. They do not yet understand logic such as conservation of quantity. For example, the child covers their eyes and thinks you can't see them. There is egocentrism. The child sees things only from their own point of view. And in conservation, pouring water from a short glass into a tall glass, the child thinks the tall glass has more water. So they don't understand quantity stays the same. And at this stage, the child asks so many questions because this is the stage where the child is very curious, and most questions are the why questions. And they also have the symbolic thinking, like they will use a stick as a sword, or they will pretend a banana is a phone. And now this is the stage. There is the pre-operational stage. The development of language and communication skills begin at this stage. Let us go to the third stage. And the third stage, this is the concrete operational stage, from 7 to 11 years old. And in concrete operational stage, children start thinking logically about real things they can see or touch. They understand that quantity doesn't change when the shape changes, and can solve problems step by step. For example, in the conservation, when you pour water from a short wide glass into a tall thin glass, a child knows the amount of water is the same. So, for example, let's say an older brother has a younger brother. At this stage, the child will let her younger sister have the tall glass because the younger child believes that the taller glass has more juice than the other one. But now the bigger child understand that the quantity is still the same. So at this stage, the child still struggles with abstract and hypothetical thinking, but the child can also at this stage can perform reversible mental operations. There is like 5 plus 5 is equals to 8. So the child now knows at this stage that 8 minus 3 is equals to 5. Let us go ahead to the last stage, the formal operational stage. In formal operational stage, thinking becomes abstract, logical, and systematic. At this stage, a person can now reason about hypothetical situations like the what ifs and develops problem solving skills using logic. You can think about the future and plan ahead, able to understand abstract concepts like justice, freedom, or algebra, capable of metacognition, thinking about one's own thinking. In the formal operational stage, adolescents and adults can think abstractly, reason logically, and solve complex problems. This can imagine possible they can imagine possibilities, like they can plan for the future and think about ideas beyond what they can see. And this stage, it grows. As they grow, this is the stage that continues until they become adults, until the end. And these are the four stages. And Jean Piaget believed that as humans, you have to undergo these four stages in that same order in order to reach full human cognitive potential. That is what he believed. But in our next lesson, we are going to talk about other cognitive theories and how the other theories, they don't agree with the Jean Piaget's theory. Let us now go to the conclusion part. In conclusion, Jean Piaget, and also we can also see that children think differently at each stage. Learning is active and experience is very important. Piaget showed that children are active learners and their thinking changes as they grow up. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share the video. Thank you.